Hello, welcome back. So at the end of last week, we talked a bit about the directory and how you can go about adding contacts from your survey to your directory and how you can add to a contact list through your survey. If you haven't seen this video, take a second to watch it. It should be up here somewhere. But moving on from this, what we can then do is using that information that we added to our contact list, we can now report on this in a dashboard using something called a respondent funnel. And today we're going to go over the steps it takes to configure your respondent funnel correctly so that you can report on it in your dashboard. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about how you'd actually set it up in your dashboard so that it has all the information you want to see in your dashboard for future reports or future visualizations through widgets and things like that to key stakeholders in your organization or elsewhere. Now, with that being said, let's head first into the survey to take a look at the survey itself. So if you remember from last week, this survey would collect information from people and then send that information off to a contact list in the directory. Now, moving from the survey to the directory list itself, we're going to head into the contacts directory and then to my segments and list. And then we'll see here some names, some departments, some phone numbers, and some emails, the exact fields we wanted from the previous survey being pulled right into the list. Now, if we want to report on this in a dashboard, we're going to need to add something called a respondent funnel to our dashboard. The way we're going to set this up is to first go to our directories. Then in here, we're going to head to directory settings. And then you're going to see something over here on the far left side called dashboard setup. You're going to click on that. And then if you go down here, you'll see something that says view respondent funnel data in dashboards. Here's where you can pick the relevant embedded data that you want to pull through from your directory to show up in your dashboards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first look up here, view contact data in dashboards. Okay, this all looks fine. And then the data I'm going to be looking for, respondent funnel dashboards. So I see some contact data in here. I don't need first name, last name. I do want phone number and email, department name. Those are the ones I want. Everything else looks fine. I'm going to publish this data set. Now these guys are going to be my contact data. That all looks fine. And then I'm going to publish this data set to view the respondent funnel. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the relevant fields from my dashboard, from my directory rather, to my respondent funnel so that I can report on it in dashboards later. So here, there's embedded data field that I want in my respondent funnel, name, that one's a classic one, and another embedded data field, department. Now here's something a lot of people do miss. This here, whether it's transaction information or embedded data, when you're selecting it, it has to match what it is in the directory. So for example, let's say that here I went to my directory, I went to my contact list, clicked on my test list, and then I saw in here that instead of embedded data here, department is transactional data. This would need to be saved as transactional data in my respondent funnel to pull through correctly. There are a bunch of data errors that happen down the line when embedded data is saved as transaction data or transaction data is saved as embedded data and things don't map correctly. If something is saved as embedded data here, you want to map it as embedded data in your respondent funnel as well so the data pulls in correctly. Now let's head back to the respondent funnel. So here I'm going to add this embedded data field for department. Another one for name. Enable these changes. Looks good. We're going to load historical data. And something to also keep in mind about this particular step is you can only load historical data for a directory once. If data has happened in the past that you want to load in and you've already loaded the historical data more than once, you won't be able to do it from that point forth. And another key thing to keep in mind about Respondent funnels is that it only collects data from the time that it's turned on and onward. So for example, let's say I turn this Respondent funnel on January 1st, 2024. All the data collected before January 1st, 2024 doesn't exist to the Respondent funnel unless it's loaded in as historical data for that one time. Otherwise, it only collects data from January 1st, 2024 onward. Everything in 2023, 2022, 2021, etc. won't exist. Now I'm going to load this guy. Looks good. It's got this processing sign. This all looks good. And then now I've configured this in my directory, and then the next step will be adding it to the dashboard. So now the way in which you're going to add a Respondent funnel to a dashboard is in a dashboard project. You're going to click Get Started. Let me do Test. Create this. Also call this Test. Create a data set. Default. Let's call this Test. Data. And then once you get to this add source section, you're going to go down to directories, and then you see here, you'll choose the funnel data you want. In this case, I want my funnel data from my test directory. I'll have all the relevant fields I need. I add that, and then you're good to go. That's how you go about adding a Respondent funnel to your dashboard. If you guys have any additional questions or concerns or anything else you want to go over, please feel free to reach out. Always happy to clarify anything in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon in the next video. Take care.